in the hearts of men. The Shadow knows.
Hello everybody out there in YouTube land. So, if you are not aware, DC and Dynamite Entertainment are doing a 6-issue crossover event this year with Batman and the Shadow. And as such, I'm doing a review of Batman the Shadow 2017 number 2. Now, I have done a review of the first issue, so if you haven't seen that or haven't read the issue, I'll have the link for issue 1 in the description box. So, the cover art and the interior art on this are by Riley Rossmo, and it was written by Scott Snyder and Steve Orlando. And there is also a variant cover by Tim Sale and Chris Burnham. Now, I have the standard cover, and it's pretty good. I really like the cover on issue 1. I like that one better, but this is a good cover. I like the colors on it. It's got purple instead of black, so are wearing purple, essentially. It's a really dark purple, and the Batman logo is behind them in purple and red. And also, there's the Shadow, and then there's the main villain in this issue on the cover there also. He is called Stag, or the Stag. So starting off on the first page, it picks up right where it left off in the first issue. So you want to be up to speed on that. Make sure you watch or check out the first issue if you haven't. So anyways, it picks up where they were before in the French Alps, and the first page is Batman here, and he is putting on his Batman attire because he's just wearing regular clothes. Well, essentially. Well, he's taken off his hoodie, and then he's got his Batman mask, and he puts that on. And it goes to the next page, and it's really awesome. It's a splash page that takes up 2 pages, and it is the Shadow confronting Batman. So at the end of the last issue, Henry Ducard, who is a longtime mentor to Batman, revealed that he is actually the Shadow. We don't know yet if he has always been the Shadow and Batman didn't know, or that the Shadow took him over and is lying. I'm inclined to believe the first one, but we will see. So also on this 2-page splash page, it has at the bottom there where it says Batman Shadow Part 2. It credits everybody who worked on it, so that's really awesome. And I really like these 2 pages. I think they look great. So on the next page, they start fighting, but they're using these practice swords that Ducard used when he was training Batman. And they're talking, and Batman's still accusing the Shadow of having killed Cranston, and he ends up hitting the Shadow actually and knocks him down. And the Shadow says, "Cranston is one of many faces I've worn over the centuries." And Batman's talking about Lazarus pit, and other ways he's heard of that people live for a really long time. And he says, Batman says, "I'll prove you killed Cranston. I'll prove who you are." And the Shadow says, "That's a waste of time. Cranston's killer does lurk your streets, and he is not finished." And he says, "The Stag has come for Gotham's best, Bruce. Reason will not defeat him. This is no game. It is a glimpse of the world you have found." And then on the next page, it says, "My world." So the world he has found is the Shadow's world. And this page is really cool. It goes through real quick a little bit about the backstory of the Shadow and the different identities he's had over the years. And I really like the art style on this. It has little tiny panels. It looks a lot better in person than it probably does on the screen. Pretty much all comics are like that, but this is one where it really looks a lot better in person. I tried to take the best pictures I could, but it looks a lot nicer when you're reading it. So it goes on, and they're still talking on the next page, and Batman's talking about, "I'll find Cranston's killer, and if it's you, lies won't stop me." And then the Shadow says, "That's fortunate then." And it goes to the next page, and he says, "The truth is all I have ever needed." And the Shadow always laughs. That's his trademark, one of his trademark things. So it's got the ha 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 all around him. And the Shadow has disappeared. So that's another thing he can do. So Batman's left there by himself. And then on the next page, it's these 2 people who are characters in the Shadow's world. He essentially goes and warns them. And there's a pretty good joke on this page because the Shadow comes in and he says, "Harry, Vincent, Margot Lane, you listen to me. You are both at risk." And the lady says, "Good Lord, listen to yourself. What are you talking about? Harry, Vincent, Margot Lane, talk to me like a human." So that's kind of funny. They're making fun of the trope of, to introduce someone to the reader, they just say their name in conversation, and it's often really awkward like that. So I thought that was a really good joke. And the Shadow warns them. He says, "The stag has risen again, and he's killed one of Cranston's descendants." And he is warning them that the stag may come after them. So that was kind of nice of him. And then on the next page, we see Batman's back at the Batcave. He's continuing to investigate the situation because the Shadow, who was his initial suspect, he is starting to believe the Shadow, that the Shadow didn't kill Cranston. So he's checking through everything and reviewing what the Shadow had told him. And what the Shadow had said was that while he himself, the Shadow, kills the worst of humanity, this character, the stag, is kind of the opposite of the Shadow, so he kills the best of humanity. So that's why he killed Cranston in the first issue, because Cranston was actually a really good guy. He was a ward at Arkham Asylum and actually cared for the villains who were imprisoned there and took care of them. You know, he actually cared about them. He wasn't just an indifferent jailer. So that's kind of interesting too, that they're showing kindness to someone who is bad, like a villain, is still a good thing to do. So Batman figures it out, and it shows him eating soup. I don't know what kind of soup it is. It looks really weird. You get this panel at the top of the page, and it's really some kind of strange, it's like a meatball or something, but it's green. I don't know. I'll have to ask Alfred what kind of soup it is later. But anyways, it shows a newspaper clipping, and he is figured out that this Dr. Leslie Tompkins, is going to be the next target because the last person who was murdered won the same award that she did. And then there was a third person who was murdered that also won that award. So he figures out that she's going to be the next target, that the stag is just going down the line, killing all the people who win this humanitarian award. So the Dr. Leslie Tompkins works at a free clinic. So that's her humanitarian thing. And let's see, we go to the next page, and the stag has shown up there, and he's going to try and kill her. But Batman breaks through the window in the ceiling, and I saw a joke online today. It was actually kind of funny, coincidentally, but it was like, I bet the window repairmen in Gotham City make a fortune because Batman's always coming through the skylight. You would think they would just not build buildings with skylights in Gotham City. But anyway, he smashes through the skylight like he does in every movie and comic book he's in, and lands right on the stag and kicks him and stuff, and he's doing really good. He knocks the knife out of the stag's hand, but he gets a little cocky and says, "You'll wish it was the Shadow here, instead of him." And the stag lands his punch at the bottom panel here. It looks really painful. Looks like he hit him in the temple. It goes to the next page, and Batman kicks him, but the stag isn't fazed by it, and Batman's surprised because he kicked him in a nerve bundle. So he expected the stag's arms to be useless. But the stag just grabs his leg, and it's really creepy the way he looks at him with his eyes that are just inhuman looking. And he breaks Batman's leg. And the way it looks, it's like he twisted it around. It's really disgusting looking. So Batman says, "What are you?" So the stag's got superhuman or supernatural powers. And then Leslie comes in, the doctor, and she's going to actually help the situation. She's got, or at least she's going to try to, but she has a gun, and she pulls it out on, is going to shoot the stag. And Batman says no and knocks the stag down. And he is fighting him again hand to hand, even though he's injured now. And he turns around and he says, "Listen, Leslie, not in this place. You know what happened here. Put the gun down." And she said, "This is my clinic. If that thing thinks he can hurt the people in my care, hurt you, he's dead wrong." And we go to the next page. This is full splash page. I know I've said it more than once, but I really like the art Riley Rossmo does in this series. This is really awesome. So Batman jumps and knocks her down, but she still has already fired, and it hits the stag in the head. He's down. He goes through the window on the next page, and Batman goes to the window and looks out, but there's no body down there. And he turns around because Shadow's there, and he says, "Once again, Batman, the truth defeats you." And this page is really awesome. It looks really great. And the Shadow is laughing and walking towards him. And Batman says, "What did you do to Leslie?" And the Shadow explains that he had just taken the place of Leslie. Because he knew what was going to happen too, and showed up there before the Stag did. And then Batman just like electric shocks him because he says, "You ruin lives, you murder criminals, maybe you didn't kill Cranston, but I'm taking you off the board." And then the Shadow says, "Listen to me, the Stag seeks Shambhala. Evil is the key as it was when I found it." So the Shambhala is the place where the Shadow gained his powers, and so the Stag is trying to get there and get more powerful. And so Batman says, "I don't know about that, but if the Stag wants to find evil in Gotham, he'll know where to look." And it shows the next page. It's the last page in this issue, and it's a full page. And it sure looks like the Joker. I'm pretty sure it's the Joker. He's got green hair and white skin. It looks like the Joker. I don't know if it's the Rebirth Joker or what. It's every time I see the Joker, he looks different. But, so that's cool. That would imply that the third issue is going to have the Joker, and in the reflection of the knife here, you can see the Stag. So the Stag and the Joker are going to team up and fight the Shadow and Batman. So that's issue number 2. I really like it. I highly recommend it. If you can get a hold of it, I would say go for it. The third issue is out now, so issue 1 through 3 are out, and there are release dates for the next 3, so they're going to print 6 altogether. So, oh yeah, here's the variant cover. I like it a lot, actually. I kind of wish I had the variant cover instead of the regular cover. I think it's really well drawn and really dynamic. So that's it for now, and as always, thank you for watching. Really appreciate it, and if you aren't subscribed, please subscribe.
End of line.